Hey, you're here. That means you've probably tried everything else tonight. Scrolled until your eyes stung, replayed old conversations, maybe even made a list of all the things you forgot to do this week. But it's okay. You're not here to fix anything. You're here to rest. Let's slow things down a bit together. Before we get into tonight's story, we're going to take a gentle countdown. Not just to help your body relax, but to help your mind finally let go. 5, the guilt. You are not a bad person. You are human. You've carried the weight of your choices longer than anyone ever should. Right now, there's nothing to fix, nothing to prove, just the soft invitation to let your heart be at peace. 4, the tension in your shoulders. As you lay there, gently tell your brain it's okay to let go. That heavy feeling isn't weakness, it's the reminder that you've been strong for too long. 3, the noise in your head. All those thoughts racing in loops, worrying about tomorrow, rehashing yesterday. Breathe. With each breath out, release a strand. There is no problem that must be solved at this moment. 2, the expectation to be on. You don't owe anyone performance right now. You're not behind. You're not late. You're just here, exactly where you're supposed to be. 1, the fear of not sleeping. Ironically, the more we try to fall asleep, the more it evades us. So don't try. Just listen. Let your mind drift with the rain and the story. Maybe tonight, instead of trying to find sleep, why don't we let that sleep find you? Nestled along the sapphire shores of the Adriatic Sea, Dubrovnik rises with ancient pride. Today, its stone ramparts glow golden under the Croatian sun. But long before it was a traveler's dream or a backdrop for fantasy television, Dubrovnik was a fortress carved by necessity, discipline, and resilience. Its story begins not on the mainland, but on a small island just off the coast. Refugees fleeing the destruction of the Roman city of Epidaurus, now modern day Kavtat, found safety here. They called it Laos, rocky, humble, yet free. Meanwhile, on the mainland opposite Laos, Slavic tribes settled and named their town Dubrovnik, derived from the Slavic word Dubrava, meaning oak grove. The two settlements traded quietly, slowly, growing closer until the channel separating them was filled in. The island and mainland became one, physically and politically. By the Middle Ages, this union had grown into a maritime republic, a city of trade, diplomacy, and quiet strength. Dubrovnik was no Venice. It didn't rely on swords or armies. Instead, its power was in wit and endurance. The city walls, towering over 80 feet tall in places and 20 feet thick, embraced it like a stone guardian. These walls were more than defense. They were a message to the world. Small, but unbreakable. But nature would test Dubrovnik's resilience. In 1667, a devastating earthquake struck. The earth shook violently, toppling churches, palaces, and homes. Over 5,000 people died. The city was broken, but not defeated. The walls stood, and so did the spirit of Dubrovnik. Rebuilding began immediately. Baroque-style buildings rose from the rubble, blending the past scars with a hopeful future. As the years passed, the city faced more trials, plague outbreaks, fires, and political pressures. Yet, Dubrovnik's leaders navigated a delicate dance, paying tribute to the Ottoman Empire while maintaining remarkable independence. Napoleon's arrival in the early 19th century marked the end of a centuries-old republic, but the city's soul remained unbroken. Dubrovnik's story is one of endurance, a city that refused to fall, no matter the storms it faced. Let that thought settle as the rains deepen. The city's history is a quiet symphony of survival and adaptation. Its walls witness centuries of peace and war, of traders and invaders, of faith and rebellion. In the silence between the raindrops, imagine the people of Dubrovnik. Merchants, sailors, artists, all living beneath those great walls, carrying on despite uncertainty. The streets, paved with smooth limestone, have been walked by countless feet, each leaving stories in the dust, whispers in the breeze. As we move forward, let your breath flow, your body soften as the city's tale unfolds gently around you. As Dubrovnik weathered the centuries, its leaders faced one of the greatest challenges yet: the plague. This invisible enemy swept through Europe repeatedly, and Dubrovnik was not spared. Yet the city's careful governance slowed the devastation. Quarantine measures were some of the earliest in Europe, and the city limited trade and travel when necessary to protect its people. The impact was heavy, but the resilience was heavier. While much of Europe was locked in chaos, Dubrovnik's diplomatic skill shone. The city navigated a delicate balance between powerful neighbors, the Ottoman Empire and the Venetian Republic, paying tribute when required, yet maintaining a remarkable degree of independence. This dance of diplomacy wasn't without its tensions, yet it allowed Dubrovnik to flourish as a vital maritime hub, a beacon of commerce and culture in the Adriatic. I want you to imagine the sailors returning from faraway lands, bringing stories and goods, enriching the city's life and spirit. The city itself was a masterpiece, built stone by stone over centuries, designed not only to withstand armies, but also the relentless test of time. But the winds of change were approaching. Napoleon's armies arrived in the early 1800s, sweeping across Europe and reshaping borders. Dubrovnik's centuries-old republic was dissolved, absorbed into the empires far larger than itself. Yet, even in conquest, the city's soul endured. The 20th century brought new trials, world wars, shifting alliances, and in the 1990s, a brutal siege during the breakup of Yugoslavia. Despite damage and hardship, Dubrovnik rose from the ashes once more. Today, the city stands as a symbol of resilience and beauty. Its walls are tourist magnets, its streets filled with art and life, and its story whispered softly on the Adriatic breeze. Let the rain lighten now, soft as the city's hope. Think of Dubrovnik as you close your eyes, a city that time and again refused to fall. Let its quiet strength become your own. Breathe in calm. Breathe out tension. Sink deeper into rest. As the centuries turned, Dubrovnik became more than a city of walls and wars. It became a city of stories, whispered in alleyways, sung by the sea, and painted in every weathered stone. The people who lived there held tight to their heritage, their faith, and their hope. The modern era brought tourists seeking beauty and history, filmmakers capturing the magic, and the world discovering what residents had always known. Dubrovnik's soul is unbreakable. Even now, when the sun dips low and the Adriatic reflects a fading gold, the city breathes in quiet strength. As you listen, imagine yourself walking along the ancient walls, the salt breeze on your skin, the distant call of seabirds, the steady heartbeat of the stones beneath your feet. Feel yourself connected to a history far greater than yourself, and yet deeply personal. Because resilience isn't just about cities, it's about you, your battles, your storms, your quiet mornings after the worst nights. Dubrovnik's story is a lullaby for your spirit, a reminder that no matter the trials, the dawn will come. So now, as the rain softens, let your mind drift. Let your body sink. You are safe. You are whole. You are enough. Hey, you still here with us? That's okay. You're allowed to drift in and out. You don't need to keep up. This isn't school. There's no quiz at the end. Your only job right now is to rest. But if your mind's still curious and awake, just a little, I'd love to tell you a story about a time when the world felt impossibly big. A time when people set sail into the unknown, not knowing if they'd fall off the edge of Earth or discover something new. A time of maps drawn by hand, of compass needles trembling with purpose, and of fearless ambition, sometimes beautiful, sometimes dangerous, that changed human history forever. As we continue our journey to the land of sleep, what do you say we get on a boat and sail into the age of exploration? It's hard to imagine now with GPS in our pockets and satellite images showing every corner of the earth. But for most of human history, people didn't really know what was out there. In the 1400s, maps of the world looked more like wishful guesses than anything grounded in reality. Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia were roughly sketched, sure, but once you reached the edges of what was known, there were dragons, literally. Ancient map makers would sometimes write, "Here be monsters," in the blank spaces, not just out of superstition, but because they knew fear of the unknown was very, very real. And that is where our story begins, in that vast, blank space with brave, stubborn people who ask the question, what if we just keep going? Portugal was the first to seriously answer that question. Under the leadership of Prince Henry the Navigator, who ironically never sailed himself, they began sending ships further and further down the West African coast in the early 1400s. Their ships were small by modern standards, little wooden caravels, barely large enough to carry their crew, supplies, and cargo. The ocean was immense, dark, unpredictable. Storms would form out of nowhere. Waves could rise stories high. And still, they sailed. Why? Because they were chasing something. Spices, mostly cinnamon, cloves, peppercorns, the kind of rare goods that could turn poor kingdoms rich and rich kingdoms powerful. But they were also chasing knowledge and sometimes chasing immortality. The idea that if they found something new, they'd be remembered forever. Then came the Spanish crown with deeper pockets and even bigger dreams. In 1492, they backed a Genoese sailor named Christopher Columbus, a man who believed he could reach Asia by sailing west. What he actually reached was the Bahamas. And while he never admitted he'd found a new world, his voyage cracked the Atlantic wide open. Europeans now knew there were entire continents they hadn't accounted for. New maps began to form, new names, new ports, new ambitions. And from that moment forward, the floodgates were open. There was Vasco da Gama sailing around the Cape of Good Hope to reach India. Ferdinand Magellan, whose crew became the first to circumnavigate the globe, though Magellan himself didn't live to see the end of the journey. He died in the Philippines after getting involved in a local conflict. His ambition, like many explorers of the age, had no off switch. And of course, there was Amerigo Vespucci, The guy whose name stuck. America wasn't named after Columbus, but after this lesser known Italian navigator who mapped out much of South America's coastline. Then came the English, the French, the Dutch, each carving out their own corner of the seas. Exploration quickly turned into empire building. Trade routes became power struggles. The ocean, once mysterious and feared, became battlegrounds for wealth and domination. But not all explorers were captains. Some were naturalists, linguists, cartographers. Imagine dedicating your entire life to sketching coastlines by candlelight or recording the names of flowers in a foreign language no one back home could understand. Some mapped out wind patterns, others documented the stars, and slowly, one voyage at a time, Earth became a little less mysterious. Even still, there were places no one returned from, voyages that vanished, ships swallowed by storms, or coral reefs, or conflicts. For every explorer who returned a hero, there were dozens who became whispers. But exploration wasn't just about geography, it was about identity. The people back home, the ones who had never left their village, who lived and died in the same place they were born. They now had stories of distant lands, exotic animals, languages they couldn't pronounce. Their worldview cracked open just a little more with each returning ship. The age of exploration brought both discovery and destruction, cultural exchange and colonization, scientific advancement and senseless violence. It gave the world new wonders, and it left deep wounds. The empires that rose from these journeys would go on to change everything from global economies to languages spoken to entire belief systems, all because someone looked at the horizon and said, let's go find out. Still awake? Then picture this. You're standing on the deck of a wooden ship. The sails above you groan in the wind. The ocean stretches out in every direction. Deep blue with hints of green where the sun strikes just right. There's no land in sight, just water and stars and possibility. Your hands grip the railing. The air smells like salt and wood and distance. And though your feet are still, your soul feels like it's moving. You don't know what's ahead, but that's the point. Now, just breathe. Let the rain soften again. Let your thoughts dissolve like waves breaking on the shore. There's no more exploring to do tonight. The world is big, but your bed is safe. And you are home. Ah, you probably woke up just now. That moment between sleep and waking, the one where you realize, oh, right, I need to pee. You didn't want to, of course. You were finally relaxed, maybe even dreaming. But your body had other plans. Now you're lying there in the dark, eyes wide open, wondering if you'll fall back asleep. Your mind is running a little, but don't worry. I've got you. No need to rush. No need to worry. We'll take it nice and slow. Time is a strange thing, isn't it? We feel it in our bodies, our heartbeat, our breathing. But beyond that, it's invisible. Yet humans have always wanted to capture it, measure it, hold it still. But what if I told you long ago, before clocks, before watches, before smartphones, people lived by the sun, the moon, and the stars. They noticed the rhythm of seasons, the slow turning of days into nights. But the problem was this: nature's time was beautiful, but also very unpredictable. See, days would stretch longer in summer and shrink in winter. Sometimes clouds hid the sun for days at a time. The moon waxed and waned, but wasn't always visible. And humans, with all their schedules and rituals, needed something more reliable. So they started to build timekeepers. The earliest were simple sundials that cast shadows on stone, water clocks that measured time by dripping water. But these were limited, only useful when the sun was out or when you had enough water to spare. Still, these inventions were marvels of human curiosity and patience. Then came the mechanical clock, a machine that could tick steadily, regardless of the sun or the stars. It began in Europe during the 13th century, a time when monasteries wanted to keep precise hours for prayer. Imagine monks listening to the slow, steady ringing of bells, marking each moment of their daily rituals. But bells weren't enough. They wanted clocks that could measure time in smaller slices, minutes, seconds. See, the first mechanical clocks were massive. They hung in towers with huge iron gears grinding slowly. Each tick was deliberate, echoing across towns and villages. It was a new way to experience time, not just as a flow, but as a series of small, measured moments. As the technology improved, clocks got smaller, with pendulums swinging in precise arcs and gears turning invisibly behind wooden faces. The sound you hear now, the tick-tock, is the heartbeat of these machines. It's steady, predictable, calming. Some say it mimics the human heartbeat itself, helping us to feel grounded and safe. But clocks did more than tell time. They changed how people lived. Factories began to schedule shifts. Train conductors timed arrivals. People began to think of their lives in increments. The world became more connected because time could be shared and trusted. Yet, as the clocks ticked on, many found themselves caught in its rhythm, sometimes feeling rushed or trapped. But here, now, there is no rush, just the tick tock of a clock keeping steady. Imagine a grandfather clock standing quietly in a dim room. Its pendulum swings, slow and sure. Dust motes drift lazily in the air. Outside, the rain taps gently on a tin roof. Let yourself sink into this rhythm. Let your mind follow the pendulum's arc. You might feel your heartbeat slow, sinking gently with the clock. Your breath deepens. Your muscles relax. The past and future melt away. Only this moment exists. You are safe here. Time is your friend, and sleep is waiting. So let the ticking carry you back. Let the rain sing you down. It's okay to close your eyes again. Thank you for resting with me tonight. Until next time, sleep well, sweet dreams, and know that you are loved.